What's up, gang? WordPress news doesn't travel around the same way it used to. So I don't know if you've heard about this yet, but this week, the WordPress ecosystem exploded with drama. So here's the story. WordPress founder Matt Mullenweg has gotten himself in hot water again by making what I consider to be kind of a crazy stand. Okay, and I'm going to go through all this for you. But basically what he's done is he has attacked the most prominent WordPress adjacent hosting company in the world. It's called WPEngine. He has attacked WPEngine and says that they are not in good standing in the WordPress community because, according to Matt, in his first public statements, he said they don't contribute back to the WordPress ecosystem in the form of providing code for the WordPress core. I'll talk a little bit more about what that means in a little while. But so he says WPEngine, which has huge profits, it's a very successful company, he says they don't give back enough to WordPress, okay? There's other companies, many other companies that have generated tons of money off WordPress through the years, but they don't always get put in the crosshairs, in Matt's crosshairs. And so you definitely, before you even dive into anything, you have to ask yourself, well, why is he attacking only this entity? He's saying that they say they're managed WordPress hosting, and that they're WordPress hosting, and that they are potentially confusing to customers who might think that WPEngine is WordPress. But of course, this issue goes back 15 years. Back in 2010, some of you may recall that I had a big spat with Matt in the summer of 2010 when he wanted me to put a specific type of licensing on the thesis theme, which I refused to do because I had tons of people saying, hey, Chris, if you put that licensing on your theme, I'm going to steal it right away. So that didn't seem too good. I wasn't too thrilled about creating licensing that others could then use against me. That seemed really dumb at the time, since I was in the crosshairs of a lot of people. It's like you don't make yourself more vulnerable when you're already being attacked. That's super dumb. Anyhow, that was an issue of coercion. Matt wanted to force me to make some changes so that I was operating in the way that he wanted me to operate. Now, there were no rules in the WordPress community at that time. It was just sort of a loose coalition, and it was supposed to be open, which is a joke, which you now know if you've done this for any length of time. But so anyway, he wanted to coerce me to, have certain types of licensing and all that. And then in the wake of this, they started making all kinds of changes. They started doing these WordCamps, which were these events, and they were local. There'd be a US WordCamp, there'd be a European WordCamp, there'd be local ones like in Phoenix or in San Francisco or something like this. There were local ones too. So it's like a circuit of events. So he started this circuit of events, and then he said, well, you can't be invited. You're not allowed to attend any of these if you're not in good standing. So he basically makes the rules and says, okay, if these people try to get in, they can't get in. Anyone else is okay. So it's a closed system to try and get your open community to behave the way you want. You should already be seeing the absurdity here, but we're going to keep going. So during that time when WordPress was making all these adjustments with WordCamp and everything else, they also had to take a stand about trademarks, and specifically trademarks concerning the usage of the word WordPress in commerce. And the big conclusion at that time was that any company selling products or services adjacent to WordPress, stuff that helped with help you run WordPress, could not use WordPress fully spelled out in the name of the business or the domain name used to promote the products. They had to use the abbreviation WP. And use verbiage like whatever for WP. And you could even say for WordPress. I believe that was acceptable use at the time, or when this was first established. Saying for WP or for WordPress was totally okay. All right. And WPEngine, who Matt is attacking now, they received his blessing and funding from his company, his private company, Automatic, which builds stuff on WordPress and kind of steers the WordPress ship. It's a murky thing. There's not supposed to be any crossing of streams here between private and nonprofit and foundation and all that stuff. But there is definitely some crossing of streams and conflict of interest, especially as it comes to leadership and Matt's position. Okay, so he gave WordPress Engine startup capital back in 2010 or 2011. I don't know when that money was actually exchanged, and a blessing to use WP in the name, because that was the conclusion of that whole era, was you could use WP in the name of the business. So WPEngine was born. WPEngine became the #1 managed WordPress hosting company, as far as I know. They're headquartered here in Austin, Texas. I know a lot of those guys, and they've been super successful. There's no way around it. Like, it doesn't matter how anyone feels about their product. Like, they've been a reliable host for tons of people, and that's that. You know, people pay for things, they vote for products voluntarily with their money. If WPEngine sucked or was breaking the rules or was lying or cheating people, then this would have been exposed long ago, and they would be out of business. They wouldn't be having amazing growth. They wouldn't be posting these huge profit numbers. They wouldn't be acquiring themes and plugins in the WordPress community and keeping them alive. Like, these are like this. We got to talk about stuff like that, because a lot of this goes on. So plugins will die over time because usually the creators don't make enough money. But some of these plugins are vital to the WordPress ecosystem. They might have hundreds of thousands or millions of users. And so some of these companies like WPEngine will step in and buy some of these properties from time to time and keep them alive. That is doing a huge service to the community. I have to tell people this all the time who want to whine about changes I make in my business. But the reality is you have to make changes to survive over time. If you don't, the stuff will be gone. And then you have to ask yourself, is it better that stuff dies and all these users are left hanging and like their stuff stops working? Is that better? Or is it better that somebody like WPEngine comes in with a lot of capital and buys up some of these distressed properties and keeps them alive so that users experience continuity on their sites? I see that as a big service to the community and something that certainly should not be glossed over in any situation like this. All right, so there's the backstory. All that stuff's out of the way. Now you know what the details are, like, you know, how we got here and what the terms are. And now I want to go through the cease and desist letter that WPEngine sent to Matt Mullenweg and his company Automatic, because it reveals just crazy behavior. Like, you have to see this to believe it.